to I think it's the fourth or fifth seminar in the DIGI-net seminar series looking at the role of work and digitalization on people, especially older people. We've got two great speakers today. Both of them happen to be my PhD students, but they're also my star PhD students. So they're really the best of the best of the crop as far as I'm concerned. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for them to share some of their research with you. And these they're two topics relate very well to our network. Before I do so, I just have a couple of words to the group as a whole. First of all, if you've joined the seminar from outside of the DIGI-net network, I'd very much encourage you to join our research group. So DIGI-net is a cost action program on the impact of digitalization and work on older workers. It's an interdisciplinary group, so you have people from business, like myself. I'm from University of Leicester School of Management, specializing in human resource management in the world of work and employment. You have some sociologists, you have gerontologists, people in technology. It's a really nice group looking at the impact of digitalization on individuals. We've got a number of working groups which are all looking at these issues from multiple perspectives. So we have one looking at digitalization from the perspective of the older worker themselves. How do they negotiate and adapt new technology? Is technology something which is an enabler for older workers to stay economically active? Does it create a barrier, and so forth? We've got a working group. The working group that I'm leading is on employer policies and practices. We've got one on culture. We've got one on the impact of health. There's one on public policy. So there are different working groups which can all fit in with others specialized areas. Just a quick announcement as well with my working group 2 hat on. One of the activities that we have for working group 2 is creating short country profiles on employer policies and practices as they relate to digitalization and age. And when I'm saying short, they're about 5 A4 sides long. So it's a quick summary of what are some of the big challenges for employers in each individual country, what are employers doing to encourage an inclusive approach to digitalization. How does this then create more inclusive work spaces, and short interviews with representatives of business and unions to get their perspective of some of the big issues in this. So it's about five pages long, and the idea behind that is that these short pieces will then be sort of like a jigsaw puzzle, which can be used for publications and output. So if I'm doing the country profile on the UK, if I'm doing a country profile in the UK and somebody's doing one on Germany, and we want to write a paper for, like, say, the International Journal of HRM or HRMJ or something similar like that, then we can put our two pieces together and see how that can then form the basis of a paper, a comparative paper between the UK and Germany. It's also hoped that this is also that these country profiles are going to be complementary to the activities of the other working groups as well. So if you want to look at employer policies and compare how employer policies are then reflected in public policies when it comes to digitalization, then you can take the activities of Working Group 3 and combine them there and sort of have a more holistic country profile on the topic. If you're interested in doing a country profile, I think we've got about 14 countries so far where we're going to have some country profiles, but it's not a full picture. Then please do email me at matt.flynn@leicester.ac.uk and let me know, and I'd be very happy to fit you in with that as well. The idea behind the country profile is that it's not a huge amount of work, and it's a work that can then build on publications, which is, of course, the holy grail for all of us. The other thing that I just wanted to mention as well, and this is something that I've been talking to Martina about, is that Work, Aging, and Retirement, which is Mo Wang's publication. I think it's now indexed on AGC. Has put out a call for special issues for 2025, and we've been talking about possibly putting in a pitch for a special issue on the issue of digitalization as it relates to aging workforces. We're still at the early stages of discussion on this, but if you'd like to be involved in this, if you're interested in maybe being an editor or even co-editing the special, or being part of the proposal to be a co-editor for that, then please we can discuss this in the working group meetings, but please also get in touch with me as well. We've got a number of different publication streams which we're all working on right now, such as the book and conferences and so forth. But this will be another nice opportunity for all of us. Can't guarantee that we would get the special issue, but I think we would be in a strong place to put a submission in. So those are my announcements. Before I hand the floor over to these two great speakers, is there does anybody have a point or a question that they'd like to raise initially? Jolanta?
Yes, hi, because I wonder, Matt, because I think that already twice I informed that I can prepare the country report.
Oh, and I haven't gotten in touch with you.
Your last email, you for the second time, you omit me. So I wonder if my emails, because you asked for contacting you, but I'm not sure that all emails reach effectively. So if Poland could be included, I would be more than happy.
Definitely. I'm just as we're speaking, I'm just writing you down in the Excel spreadsheet, and I'll send you the invitation for the workshop tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's okay, but I just would like to be clear that it's already, of course, I do understand that we can do with some collaboration and so on, but that's a country report and instructions, so on. Thanks a lot for that.
Okay, definitely. So I'll follow up on the call. I'll send you an email, and we'll confirm that. So thank you so much. All right. Okay, let me turn over the floor to Ethica first. So Ethica has been my my student for, you're coming up to the third year now, aren't you? And she's doing a really exciting single case study on sustainability and the Bangladeshi the fashion industry. And she's going to talk, and the focus of this is on the adaptation of digital technology and the various pressures on organizations to adopt new technology. And she also has a really exciting methodology that she's been using for her research in the form of single case study. So I don't want to give away too much, and I'll just hand the floor straight over to Ethica.
Thank you so much, Matt, and thanks for arranging such a nice session. So I'm Ethica Tanjeen, third year PhD student at University of Hull. My research is about investigating institutional pressures and stakeholders' perspective on sustainability and digitalization, an explorative case study. So today I'm going to present this content starting with background and research settings, theoretical lens, research focus and research questions, concept mapping, data gathering instruments, and finally the initial findings. So starting with background, my research undertakes an endeavor to investigate institutional isomorphism in the adoption of digitalization and the maintenance of sustainability. So this project considers two most topical issues world facing today, sustainability and digitalization. And here, ready-made garments industry in Bangladesh is chosen as an empirical research setting. Uh, Currently, Bangladesh is in second largest position as global RMG exporters, and this industry is a significant contributor to the country's economy. So this sector as a part of global supply chain face pressures coming from the lead actors of the supply chain. And in my research, I'm using institutional theory as a theoretical lens. So if I just talk a little bit about institutional theory, it's a kind of constructive lens to scrutinize organizational behavior and also used for various adoption and their related practices. And it is easier to identify the multi-perspectives and dynamic forces through using institutional theory. If I going into the depth of institutional theory, what happened earlier, actually previously organizations were perceived largely as a production system. Consequently, institutional theorists have directed attention that no organization is just a technical system, and organizations exist in an institutional setting that delineates social reality, and it explored both restraining and assisting forces. And new institutionalism purposes at enlightening isomorphism, which is the main focus of my study. And structure and behavior of organizations become institutionalized through isomorphic pressures. If we look back to the institutional theory, so here I'm using new institutional theory. So the work or the root of new institutional theory found in the work of Mayer and Royan and DiMaggio and Powell, they explain the interactional effects of formal and informal institutions on the behavior of individuals and groups in organizations. So if we see in the left side, a paper titled The Iron Cage Revisited Institutional Isomorphism and Collective Rationality in Organizational Fields. So these two authors, DiMaggio and Powell, they discovered these three pressures, coercive, mimetic, and normative pressures for the first time. So my research undertakes an endeavor to identify these three pressures in the adoption of digitalization and maintenance of sustainability. I'm just going to cover these three isomorphism in very not in very detail but shortly. That is, it stems from political influences and problems of legitimacy. I'm talking about coercive isomorphism and adopt certain practice due to its relationship with powerful organizations. So if I highlighted some key points of coercive isomorphism, law, rules, and regulation, these are the things. So next is mimetic isomorphism, where results from standard responses to uncertainty, and organizations imitate practices of leading organizations. So the highlighted points here are imitate, following others, best practices, benchmarking often comes from uncertainty. And finally, normative isomorphism, which is associated with professionalism, academic accreditation at the academic background, job experience, or the networks of professional identification. So I'm going to discover or address these three isomorphism while adopting digitalization and sustainability in a single case study. So if we look through the Sustainable Development Goals that set by United Nations in the year 2015, among 17 goals and 169 targets, here the goal number 9 is industry, innovation and infrastructure. And I'm focusing on this goal because our sustainable development goals can't be achieved without proper integration of sustainability and digitalization. And little is known about how diverse actors and decision makers observe the relationship. And also Linkov identified institutional realities are indispensable to investigate the sustainability and digitalization challenges. So here is my research focus and research questions. So I'm going to identify what are the forms of pressures impacting the firms, how are they affecting decision makers, what are the strategic responses of the decision makers, and what are the challenges and outcomes coming from digitalization. So if you look through the concept map, here I prepared a concept map which demonstrates a visual representation of information that show everything in a single view. If we look through the concept map, I started with the main topic, then shows the direction, what to identify. So I wanted to identify the isomorphic pressures. So what are the pressures? I located that coercive pressures, normative pressures, and mimetic pressures. So why should I identify these pressures? Because I wanted to address the reasons for digitalizations and what are the reasons for maintaining sustainability. So in which sector I identified the ready-made garment sectors. So what to do then? I will be using that single case study, and what to do next, that is the conducting in-depth interview with whom. So I identified some respondents and which questions to ask that's to relate with this isomorphism. So this is the way I identified or I portrayed the concept map, and believe me, this was really helpful for me. I prepared this before going to the field work, and this helped me to look at the direction, where to go and what to do. So next comes the research design and methodology. So my research approach is inductive. So here the goal is to explore a phenomenon and identify theme and patterns. And here I'm investigating an issue which is not rooted in previous research. So I'll be able to capture the multiple viewpoints, and therefore the qualitative research is important here. And I'm also adopting case study because this is a suitable avenue to answer how and why questions that I identified earlier in my research questions. And regarding data collection and data gathering techniques, I used in-depth semi-structured interview and focus group discussions. So I did ask participants some open-ended questions related to isomorphism. If I give you an example that as all those questions are open-ended, but what sorts of questions I asked to the respondents, the questions revolve around, do you think do you get pressure from government as part of regulations, rules, or policies? Or is there any kind of regulatory compliances, or do you get forces from buyers or brands? Also, in part of mimetic isomorphism, I asked questions like this: do you want to follow other factories which are already digitalized, or do you want to imitate others, or are you doing this, or are you modeling after successful organizations? And in terms of normative isomorphism, I asked questions like this: is there any professional accreditation of the staff members that influences the factories to adopt digitalization? Or whether educational background or academic qualifications of the employees force you to adopt digitalization and maintaining sustainability? So these are the questions. I did ask some different questions like the challenges or the outcomes, but my questions were like this. And regarding data analysis, I'll be using the thematic analysis using in vivo. So the case study as a research approach, I wanted to do case study because it gives you thick description and triangulation. And rather than relying on multiple cases, I focused on a single case to go more deeper by increasing data points, which I will show you in the next slide. Okay, so now the question arises, how did I recruit or identify the participants? So I used snowballing sampling, which is a kind of convenience sampling method. I recruited initial subjects and then asked those initial subjects to identify additional subjects. So if you see this slide, these are the internal stakeholders. I interviewed these persons. So in-depth semi-structured interviews in the case factory. So I identified people from top level management, mid-level, first line, and also non-managerial people. So I tried to talk with different peoples in multiple layers. Next, I also taken some focus group discussions, and that is for workers and participation committee. So apart from internal stakeholders, I also tried to take interviews with external stakeholders. If you see the slides, I talked with regulators or government officials, key purchasers, peer or competitors. I talked with the stakeholders in 4 or 5 other leading garments factories to know their opinion, NGOs, industry association, BGMEA. I will explain about this later, but BGMEA is considered as the largest trade association in Bangladesh, and also talked with some public and special interest group. There are 2 forums. One is Sustainable Apparel Forum, another one is Bangladesh Apparel Exchange. I talked with these people too, and also other stakeholders in like RMG Sustainability Council and RMG Business Expert and mentors. So in total, with focus groups, I had total 43 interviews. So I believe I tried to create a triangulation of my study, and there are 2 types of triangulation here. One is data source triangulation, that is rather than relying on only one level, I tried to capture the realities from multiple level and multiple stakeholders, not only internal but also external stakeholders, to identify or to have a holistic view. And also I had methodological triangulation, although I'm using purely qualitative methodology, but still I had 2 different methods. That is, one is in-depth interview, individual interview, another is focus group discussion. So there are these 2 types of triangulations. And here's a glimpse of my recording and documenting. So I went to Bangladesh in the year 2022 and I stayed there for 2 months to collect data. And here's a glimpse of note taking. So I went there with the ethical approval form, the informed consent, and all the participant information sheets. So I had to carry some paper there. And regarding data transcribe and translation process, so I finished all this in vivo. So among many different types of transcription, I use intelligent verbatim transcription, where I edited distracting filters, repetitions from the spoken words, and the interest was to provide a more concise, readable transcript while staying true to the participant's voice and intended meaning. So this is the way I transcribe all the recordings. Even though I haven't started the analysis, but based on the transcriptions and recordings, I just wanted to show you some of my initial findings. So when I started with identifying the themes and course, I found that when I asked questions about digitalization, so they said like pressures from buyers in terms of digitalizations, they rarely get pressure from government. There is no such rules or regulations that you have to adopt digitalization, you have to use digital technologies. But yes, there are rules, regulations, and laws for environmental sustainability. And here I mentioned 3 rules or 3 acts. One is Bangladesh Labor Act 2006, Bangladesh Labor Rules to 2015, and Bangladesh Environment Conservation Act. So these are the 3 main documents or 3 main rule book for the ready-made garments industries, but there is no such regulation in terms of technology. But yes, there are regulations for environment protection. There are regulations for workers' right, humans' right. Yeah. And next is regarding the mimetic isomorphism. So identified that factories trying to be legitimate and follow the footprint of others. And that's true for small factories, as I conducted single case when I asked them whether you get pressure that you have to follow your competitors or like this, they said no, we are leading factories, we don't compete with others like this, I don't imitate others, but the small factories are there, they follow us, they copy us. And there are always kind of collaboration among top level management owners from one factory to another factory, so they discuss about their activities, their functioning, sometimes they adopt their approaches, but that's not truly about copying or imitating them. And next is normative isomorphism. So I tried to identify these, and I found from my experience, I took interviews of some stakeholders who are in very top positions like executive director or the head of sustainability. So when I went through their profile, I found some of them have even postdocs, some of them have the doctorate degrees. So that means they try to these factories try to capture this personnel in their company so that they can provide more sustainability mindset or something like this, and definitely they are impacting the functioning of the organization. I also have some initial findings based on some other questions that I asked them about the challenges or the positive or negative outcomes. So I found about buyers demand. Actually what happens, so there are different brands like Marks and Spencer or H&M or some other brand. They are always in competition with each other. So because of that competition, sometimes they force their suppliers like the garments factories to adopt these technology or adopt that technology, and they won't like to take orders from a company who is not efficient in digitalization or using these digital technologies. And when I asked the owner of the factory or the top level, so what are the reasons of doing all these? They said we do this because of our own necessity, because of industry necessity. And what about the challenges? When I talked with like mid-level people, they said owners are very much happy to, or they are very much interested to invest on technology, softwares, purchasing attractive machineries or the automated machines in factory, but less interested to train people or less interested for the expertise. So this is kind of findings. And when I talked with the lower level or the non-managerial people, especially the workers or the participation committee, so I found that they are satisfied. They don't have to go for hardware because all machineries are there. Even in factory, in different production level, they have a device called IoT. So from this device, owner can see the real lifetime data. So real data can be shown. So workers are happy because now they don't have to memorize their work limit or something like this, and they get their salary based on their unit of production and based on their work. But there are kinds of resistance from managerial level or managerial staff that I found, like as real-time data is shown, so there is a little scope for discrepancies, and they are accountable for whatever is going on their factory. So sometimes they are not satisfied and they don't want to use technologies all the time, and little scope for discrepancies. And here I mentioned under 5, 6, and 7, three forum. That is, one is Sustainable Apparel Forum. So this forum actually arrange different plenary sessions, the kinds of knowledge and expertise exchange programs or kinds of seminar. Even the Bangladesh Apparel Exchange, they promote sustainability, innovation, and technology and transparency. And they also created some sorts of conferences or seminars and try to invite industry experts, academicians, researchers. And finally, the BGMA's role, they are acting as guardian associations. They work as a mediator, like they have direct connection with government. And if there is anything that the owners want to convey with the government or with the government officials, so BGMA then act as a mediator. So I just want to show you a snapshot of like recently H&M Group collaborate in achieving shared goals around sustainability in the garment sector. So they have some kind of teamed up with this sector. So this BGME worked as a mediator even with the international stakeholders, even with other brands. And this is the forum called Designing a Sustainable Future for Apparel Industry. So when I went to Bangladesh for data collection, so I found that like after finishing your PhD, can you please come here and give a speech, because your research is about sustainability, digitalizations, and you are trying to capture the influences. So definitely if you finish your PhD, you can have a session with us. So that means they try to capture the academicians or the researchers, and they arrange seminar series or like this. So they focus on circular economy, climate actions, renewable energies, and human rights. And there's another forum that is called Bangladesh Apparel Exchange. You also try to arrange seminars and all this. So when I came to know about all these, then I asked back to the internal stakeholders, do you know about these seminar series or all these? They said sometimes these are kind of eyewash, and the top level managers only get the opportunity to meet these personnel. Sometimes they just try capture photos, take selfies with some high officials and post that on LinkedIn, and that's it. But rarely we get the opportunity to go there, and we don't know what's actually happening outside. So definitely these are some findings. I haven't finalized all these things, but these are some of my initial findings. So what can I say? My entire data gathering process is all about deep understanding, focusing on what they perceive and framing what they perceive, and finally interpreting what they have done. So as I said earlier that I'll be doing thematic analysis. So according to Brown and Clark, I'd have to follow 6 steps. Now I am in data familiarization step, and based on this step, I identified all these findings. So that's all about my presentation, and thanks for your patience. And if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions, I'll be happy to hear that here.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much. Let me open up the floor for questions. I'll start off with a question, and this is something I ask Ethica all the time. But because you're using a single case study, and there's a very strong element of this is triangulation. Have you found that what the different stakeholders are saying are very different? Like, so if you talk to the manager of the organization, do they have a line which is very different from what the business organizations are saying? Can maybe talk a little bit about that, and how a single case study can help expose some of these tensions?
Yeah, so what I did actually, rather than focusing on different factories, as I focused on one single factory and talked with people at multiple layers. So I found some differences, like what top level manager is saying and what the lower level managers, even the non-managerial people are saying. So they have different opinions. So yeah, so maybe this is the what strength of single case. So what I found, like they always prefer to that, as I mentioned even in my initial findings, that they always prefer to, even the top level managers prefer to have collaboration with the external stakeholders. They have good communicate, they want to maintain good communication or networking with the brands and all these. So they know what they want to do, but they rarely give this they rarely what can I say, they are not that much transparent. So when I ask the managerial people, mostly the first line managers, do you know, so your organization is doing really good, and in terms of workers' right, in terms of environmental sustainability, in terms of technology adoption, they say no, we don't know much about this. Yeah, we don't know much about this. We know we need to do only these steps. and we are focusing on this step. So then I asked them, so what you do with what if you have anything, like if you have any questions, or if there is anything that you need to know, what do you do? Then they say, like, if we have some of our members have good communication with top level, and I just mentioned them, and they go to the top level and they then ask them the question. So what I identified in Bangladesh, even in emerging economies, so the the level of hierarchy, so highly bureaucratic. Yeah. So if you have good communication, if you have good relationship with the top level, you can do better. You can do better work. Even you can get promotions, because although these are not part of my research, as my research is about digitalization and sustainability, but still there are some soft issues I will definitely cover, because this comes under social sustainability, because there are kinds of divide, some kinds of inequality, these kinds of discriminatory issues, and also nepotism is there. Yeah. As I mentioned, owners always prefer to see the real life data, but the managerial level, or these managers are sometimes don't want to show them, don't want them to show this real data. The reason is, if the data is bit low, if the productivity is not high, then owner will ask what happened. We give you the machineries, we have the latest technology, or the software packages, or all these. So they don't want to answer these questions. So these are the things happen. And I also talked with like the developer of ERP model, and the people in HRR system. They say it like, owners give the money and we buy the technology, we buy the softwares, but the problems arise with the middle person. They give me the whole money, but we sometimes wanted to give them in installment. Even owner doesn't know about this. There are kinds of discrepancies. So owners job is only to give money, only to invest, but there are also some other issues that really considered. Yeah. And regarding another thing that I want to mention, that regarding NGO, as I talked with few members of NGO, so they said NGO people are said we are doing really good, and we are trying to capture the efficiency of human rights and all these. And when I asked questions to the internal stakeholders, what do you think about the contribution of NGO? So they said, like, NGO people are, whatever they are doing, they are trying to convince our workers so that they will protest. Yeah. So they are like showing them the way. Your owner is not good. Your owner is not giving you the good things. You should ask for more. So they are trying to create some sorts of problems. So they are not so much happy with NGOs. And I got these answers numerous times regarding NGO. But when I talked with NGO, without mentioning all these, they said we are very much concerned about social sustainability, very much concerned about equality, and we encourage workers to come to us and mention their problems. So there are these sorts of discrepancies, and I can compare or triangulate all these perspectives.
Wow, it's so exciting, and it's I think it's also what you're going to find as you do the analysis is a deeper understanding of not only digitalization but also sustainable business. How do you regulate an organization that might be thousands of miles away and not within the regulatory scope of wherever your sphere of influence is. And I think what you highlighted there in terms of the pressures from the organizations like H&M to adopt new approaches has a very big impact on companies which are within the supply chain. So it's really exciting work, and I think it relates very well to our research network as well, because one of the big questions that we're asking is, what are the pressures on organizations to adopt more inclusive approach to digitalization as it relates to older workers? And there are a number of other kinds of pressures on European companies to adopt measures. So, for example, a couple of years ago, there was a collective agreement between the European bodies representing business and trade unions to say, okay, we're going to look at all of the age management policies across sectors within the European Union and see where organizations are taking a more inclusive approach, where they're falling down on the job, and the pressures on organizations. And it might be sort of similar to what you said with the NGOs, that maybe they think that they're kind of agitating and they're trying to stir things up a little bit, but they could also be trying to raise labor standards so that it's a more inclusive approach to everybody. Okay. Are there any other questions, any other contributions that people would like to make? I just want to make one more note before we move on to the next speaker, which is all about the single case study and why I absolutely love this as a methodology. And I'll share a little story with you about a piece of research that I did some time ago on knowledge management in the automotive industry, and we were told about an organization. This was when I was working for the Center for Research into the Older Workforce at the University of Surrey. And we were told about this organization that had this great knowledge management system. It was for people on assembly lines in this factory. So what they would do is they would take people off of the factory who were within a year of retirement, and they'd have them write down everything that they did in their job. And this was a way that they could sort of document all of their knowledge, their experience, their tacit knowledge, and so forth. And then they would teach all of their colleagues, what they've learned from their work. And so we talked to the managers about this. They thought it was a wonderful program. Not surprisingly, talked to the workers, the older workers about this. They loved the program because it gave them an opportunity to share their knowledge with younger colleagues, and it was an opportunity to retire on a high, because you can think, oh, look at all the wonderful things that I've done in my job. I've not been just a cog in a wheel like I'm in a Charlie Chaplin film. I actually made a difference to this company. We talked to the younger workers about this. They loved it because they learned how to do different things in their jobs. They learned how to do things in new ways. And it seemed to really be a good program. And then we talked to the union reps, and the union reps were kind of like Ethica's experience with the NGOs. They were kind of stirring things up a bit. And we asked them about the program, and they said that it was a good program. It seemed to be, make their members happy. And they said, but you know why they're doing this? And we were like, okay, why do they have this program? They said, well, they're about to shut down the factory and move it overseas, and they want everybody to write down what they do in their job so that they can train all of the workers in the other country, wherever it's going to be, where the labor is going to be cheaper, and this makes it easier to do. And a year later, we came back to the factory and it wasn't there. And actually, the unions were right. But it was only because we talked to the unions at the end that we got a really full picture of everything that was going on. So if we did many different interviews with managers across different sectors, maybe we'd sort of get an idea about knowledge management in this country. But once we did a single case study, we knew what we got the twist at the end to know what was going on. So it's a really interesting approach to research. So thank you very much, Ethica. That was a really interesting case study. And I'm now going to turn the floor over to Yang, who is going to present a paper. This is another really exciting opportunity here, because Yang's work, she's been working with Cristina and Mihael, who are both on the line as well. And the three of them were part of the training workshop on systematic reviews that was held in IASI a couple of months back. And not only did they get the training, but they also got a paper out of this. So they've written a systematic review themselves, drawing on the skills from the from the training program. And I'll turn the floor over to Yang to talk a bit about the paper.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep, here it is.
Okay. Okay. Hello guys, good afternoon, and I'm Yan. Today I will present my an integrative literature review that deal with the impact of the technology tools on health and technostress among older workers. And this article I will work together with the two great partner, Mihael and Cristina. And okay. Let me start. Okay. The first thing is our article, right? The structure is the IMR&D structure. Is the main part is about the introduction, method, result, and discussion. Okay. And for the introduction, okay, in an area of the population aging and the extended working life, it's crucial to understand the role the technology plays in the lives of the older individual in the workforce. Population aging is a global phenomenon, and its implications are far-reaching in the European Union alone. The approximately 1/5 of the total population that consists of the individual aged 65 and above. This demographic shift pose the challenge not only a health care system and the pension plans, but also to the labor market, family, and the community at large. The extended working life has become a necessity in the face of the increased life expectations and healthier lifestyles. As an older individual and live longer and healthy lives, there are areas I need for them
Yeah,
to.
can I just interrupt you a second? Should the slides be moving? Because we can only we're still on the first slide.
Oh, right.
I did the exact same thing about a week ago when I was in when I was in Prague, and I had my computer and I had the slides up there, and I was moving the slides in one but not the other. But let me. Sorry to
now?
interrupt.
And
There we
now?
go.
If you should start presentation.
Maybe and now can see it.
Okay. Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry
Sorry
to
about
interrupt.
that. Sorry about that. And continue as the areas need for them to continue working beyond the traditional requirement age. However, in this context, the technology has the embrace has as a game changer and revolution in the way we live and work. And the okay. The technological tools such as the smartphone, computer, and the internet have become integral part of our daily routine between both the personal and the professional. Technology in this in its broadest sense, the encompass the application of knowledge, techniques, and systems for particular particle purpose. It can be analog of or digital, each with its own set of the advantage and disadvantage. Wheel technology has often been associated with the younger generation. Its impact on the quality of life older workers should not be overlooked. It's a segment of the workforce is the significance and the deserve attention when it's come to technological advancement. It used the technology technology in the workplace has brought about the significant change, including the increased efficiency, faster communication, and great flexibility. For older worker, technology can provide them with the enhanced opportunity and such with the such as the ability to work remote from home. Yeah. And for our article, as the purpose is about the, maybe you can say it's about the systematic review purpose is to describe how to use of the technology in older worker can affect their quality of life. And our aims is to identify how to use the technological tools to improve quality of working life among older worker. And then I will show you our method part. Okay. In this study, a descriptive method was employed. A significant and integrative literature review. Its approach allows us to gain new knowledge about the research problem by thoroughly reviewing, crittering, and synthesizing the relevant literature review and accordance with the PRISMA guideline. Yeah. And the first step we to conduct the literature search, the survey bibliography, catalog, the database that were utilized, including the website, Web of Science, and PubMed and Scopus. This database are choosing for their comprehensive coverage for scholarly publication in various fields. And in order to refine the search and focus on the specific topic, inclusion and exclusion criteria are established. Maybe you can see the slide down and table 1. Only studies meeting this criteria are considered for inclusion in the review. And the next step is the literature search was conducted in the English, and we'll use the combined to the keyword was used maximized and search effectiveness. The following keywords are employed: older worker, older employer, quality of working life, and technique. These keywords are combined using a Boolean operator and or to create the different research different search combinations. And the literature search was carry out until the April, because we completed this article end of the April. So ensure that the most up-to-date research funding were included in the review. Okay, and then I will show you our PRISMA result. Okay. Maybe you can see the finally we got to the 12 study. In literature review, provide an overview of the 12 study and examine the dual impact on the technology tools on health and the technostress among among older worker. Out of the 12 studies, the 11 study utilize quantitative research design, and the 4 study employer and sectional design, and 8 study adopting a survey questionnaire, and 1 using an index, 1 employing an experimental design, and 1 implementing control theory. And the majority of the study focus on the older worker aged 50 and above. With the 6th study will classify as sociological research, 5 health study, and 1 is a psychological study. Yeah, it's our literature review result. And in the table, you can see we can have some main finding and the how to design them, the research, and get some the details for the our literature review. And yeah, result our analysis of the viral study, we have observed the different outcome related to health and technostress depending on the specific health indicator techno-tools used, and context and age group of the older worker involved. Yeah. And the next one is when we finish the literature review part, we will discuss the funding. And in terms of the health outcomes, the research have examined various factors, including the sleeping quality and mental health, workability, chronic conditions like the arthritis, physical well-being and the quality of life, data, physical activity, stress, and the tobacco use. The study have shown that technology reliable assess this health outcome and provide a valuable insight to trigger behavior and lifestyle intervention for adopting healthier sleep habits. Furthermore, the use the information and communication technology (ICT) does not generally have a negative impact on the mental health or workability for older workers. But the digital work, the intensification has been associated with the pro mental health and workability in this population. And another one is about the web-based program, and the web-based program is also being the test to prove the health among older workers, demonstrating the modest yet significant improvement for both mind and body. For example, the fixed mobile techno-assisted Chinese, the Qigong main body exercise program has shown the positive effects. And similar, the healthy past 50 web-based healthy program has the proven effective in the promoting behavior change and efficacy and plan for healthy eating and meat exercise. And in the other hand, maybe the study examining the technostress among older workers have a product mixed result, and some study have identified higher level of the technological stress in the certain aspects related to the working life of older workers. Maybe there you can see the 4 example and for a study to support it. But it's very, very important to highlight that the researcher has also assessed the technological impact and certification reported by older worker when using technological tools. For instance, the article found that the 92% participant reporting using ICT at the work, and with the around 20% experiencing high level of the digital work in intensification. The study reported that the participants were familiar with the technological tools used in the interventions, and that the requirement, retention, and fidelity of the participant were high, despite the description in the interventions protocol. Yet, and the overall, the last one is the our findings, the contribution to the ongoing debate on the impact of the technological tools on the older worker, and revealing that the different outcome and observe depending on the specific health indicator and technological tools and contextual factors. The two thematic categories are particularly impact among older workers, healthy outcome, and technostress. It's essential to consider the diverse range of the result and acknowledge the complexity of the relationship between the technology use and health and well-being in the context of the older workers. Lastly, although there will have a 3 study in our review did not involve the use of technological tools. This study provides a value insight into the quality of working life for older worker adults, particularly regarding the healthy outcome and the age discrimination pattern. While this study did not specific test the impact of the technological tools, they underscored the importance of the considering broader factors that influence the well-being of older worker. And for our article and for our research conclusion is about we identify the digital technology can potentially improve the quality of life among older workers, but are currently under research. Interventions such as a variable device and web-based with the promotion program and ergonomic design and continuous sleeping quality monitoring can positively impact on the physical and mental health and workability, productivity, and overall well-being. However, the complex multi-dimensional nature of the quality of life should be considered when assessing the impact of technology on older workers. Further research should be need to develop effective interventions and evaluate the impact on the quality of older workers. Yeah, that's all. Thank you for listening. And if you have some feedback or suggestion, welcome.
Great, thank you so much, and it's so great to see an outcome from the training program. Before I open the floor for questions, I know that both Mihael and Cristina, the co-authors of the paper, are online as well, and I'll maybe give them an opportunity to say a few words as well, if you'd like. Mihael corrected me a little bit earlier on the chat. I think I said that it was a systematic review, and he just wanted to make the point that this is an integrative literature review, which is of course, it's very important with any research output to show how you've selected the material and the selection criteria and so forth. And in a in a very methodological way, choosing the 12 articles which are really core to your to your research. So before we open it up for questions, is there anything that the two of you might like to say? If not, I'll open it up to oh, sorry, Cristina. Hiya.
Just wanted to congratulate Yang that she has given this presentation about our work, and yeah, nice job done, and yeah, thanks again to Mihael and Yang that I met in Yash when they were in the training school, and that we worked so good. Yeah, I think it was 1 or 2 months. And so, yeah, it was nice. Yeah. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right. So yeah, let me ask, what do you see in terms of, now that you've done the research, and it looks like you all, the three of you, look through a lot of articles. You start off with 200 and something, and you whittled it down to 12, and you identified two broad of health, and the second in terms of stress. What did you find would be, or do you have some views on the gap of knowledge that we have now on the impact that technology has on older workers, and how do you see this progressing to maybe areas of possible collaborations on research? Or sorry, I said Young, but Mihael or Cristina, if any of the three of you would like to answer in terms of gaps and where we can go with
maybe
this.
we can discuss together. Mihael.
Yeah, I think this topic is under research, and our literature review is.
Sorry, your microphone doesn't seem to be working too well. Let me see if you could just turn the volume up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think we can hear you. Let's give it a try anyway.
I wanted to tell you this topic is under research, and we began with 200 articles, and at the end we include only 12 articles, and I have to tell only 9 articles included or inclusion criteria, and I think our findings in this article is background for researches, because every year we will have more and more older workers, and we have to think about it, how we can support and make easier for them, work for them easier. Yes, Cristina.
Yeah, what I got as an insight during this research was that we also had to find like a general umbrella concept, that of the quality of life, that could catch the broader topics that are researched. Because if you can see the outcomes that Yang presented, they are very different. Health outcomes, and sleeping problems, and health problems, well-being, stress. So they are very, very different from each other. very different. I mean, they do have some similarities. They refer to quality of life, but there's no specific direction of one topic and well-being and health that could be. We can say that look, so many researchers are doing this currently. And another thing that maybe it's a gap. I'm not sure if you can call it a gap or maybe as a limit, is that there are many of the research aren't done specifically for older workers. They are done for older people in general. And also the age that it's how it's analyzed within the studies is different. Yeah, so that's another. I don't know if it's a gap, but maybe as a limit of research methods. But yeah, maybe it could be like a gap also because we cannot. I don't know, point to a specific direction of results or anything specific to this kind of population or the workers, because it's very mixed. Yeah. Yeah, this is I got, and also, and then I can let you, Mihael, to talk, and also that. There are still some, although I think to our knowledge, most of research focuses on the negative impacts of digitalization. The fact that we are in this kind of cost action project and did this kind of work, we managed to emphasize the positive effects. That are also specific to the project. So yeah, it makes sense to see that we can see the positive effects for older people, because usually it's they feel that maybe it's something that they cannot manage or something that they cannot have in their life and use and get some benefits from it. I think also Matt, you told us a story about your father that, yeah, he was struggling with digital means. So yeah, yeah. Well, I have a grandmother too that she refuses totally. She only uses the TV and that's all. But she refuses anything else. Although she has the ability to get familiar with digital tools, she refuses. Yeah, because she thinks it's very hard. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely, it's a great point. I mean, technology can be a barrier, and I think the point that you just raised about lots of studies on older people, but not very much on older workers, is a great point there, because that's where the fine blue line between being a barrier to work and an enabler for better work really comes about. And if older workers see technology as an exclusion element, one more reason for the boss to get rid of me, then it's going to have a very negative association with them, and it's going to be something that they fear. But if it's a way to be able to learn new things a little bit easier, a way to have a little bit more control over their working hours, a way to transition from physically demanding work to work which relies more on their knowledge and experience, then that could be something that's worth pursuing. And the wonderful thing about this this cost action program is we've got people from a number of different fields. Media, technology, HRM, sociology, gerontology, and we can all work together to get more insight into some of the gaps that the three of you have identified in your paper. I'll just say that if anybody wants to have a look at the paper, is it okay if I circulate it, and I'll let you all know. In fact, I'll send them your way, and you can share the paper with them, maybe get some feedback. But the overall aim, of course, is to get it into to get it published. So if you're interested in having a look at the paper, then please get in contact with one of the three co-authors, or you can get in contact with me, and I'll pass your message over, and we can get some feedback on those as well. I should also note that I've been having some discussion with some colleagues in the cost action program as well. And we're going to try to get a couple of licenses for Covidence, which is, I guess, a really good platform for doing systematic reviews or integrative literature reviews or scoping reviews. It's sort of a one-stop shop where you can just download all of the material. You can share it with working teams and so forth. I think we should have, because I'm going to get one subscription which allows for three reviews, and Martina is going to get a second one with 3 reviews. So we'll have the capability to do 6 reviews altogether. So if you're interested in using Covidence, I haven't used it myself. I'm really excited about learning from that. I'll be on one of the review teams, but do get in touch with me as well, and hopefully we can. You can use this. What did the 3 of you use in terms of material, in terms of software? Did you use like Rayon or did you use an Excel spreadsheet in terms of whittling down the literature that you looked at?
Do you want to answer that one, Mihael?
Sure.
Maybe,
I'm not sure. You asked about which literature review, what program we.
Well, just which software did you use? Did you use Rayon? I've used Rayon before.
No, actually, we didn't use any of these platforms because we had like a limited search. We had 3 main databases that are very good, and they for sure are very broad, and we could have gotten a lot of hits and registers, but we didn't have so many findings. So we had around 200 and something papers, I think, and we managed to analyze these papers all by ourselves. So this is why we didn't. So yeah, we had almost 300 papers. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
228 papers, and we also
Didn't
Yeah.
use any.
So you had to go through all 300, and you're still friends.
Yeah, but there were some of them were duplicates, and some of them were for sure not related, and we excluded them. So yeah, we kind of, I think, 200 papers. Yeah, we reviewed 200 papers. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing
this
work.
is. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I have one question for you, Matt. It's possible to present our article in the conference in Cyprus?
Yep, definitely. I'll talk to Martina about this, and I think it's a great opportunity to showcase the great work that the training program provides. You got some tangible outcomes from this, which is absolutely wonderful, and I'm sure our benefactors in the European Commission are going to be very happy with this as well.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. And thank you also for the subscription. I think one of the projects that you are going to participate, it's from the group number 3, from the health group. That one, it's where I also trying to do a scoping review, and we paused. We had to stop working because there are too many searches. We have almost 10,000 articles in the search, and we cannot do it without without Covidence or Ryan. So yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep you all updated on the Covidence subscription. I think they should come out fairly soon, and we'll have a couple of streams of review papers, and hopefully everybody can be everybody who has who'd like to contribute to a review will be able to be a part of at least one of them.
Can I also ask like another question about
Sure.
From the group? So there was an email that you sent yesterday for the whole group with about the country reports, country profile reports, and you had a meeting, but there was no date or hour for it, so I missed it, or I don't know if you had it already.
So if you're interested in doing one of the country, well, I know Cristina, you're doing one of the country profiles already. Let me just quickly check here. So it's going to be on a Teams meeting call, and it's on. It is on the 12th. Now I'm going to have to try to figure out Malaysian time versus European time. So I think they're 8 hours ahead, or we're 8 hours ahead. So 8 o'clock, I think, would be 12 o'clock European time, or CET, and 11 o'clock UK time. Let me just check to make sure that's right. I'm not giving you the wrong information. You should have a calendar invite to this. Have you got the calendar invite?
No. This is because I didn't get. I just got the message, and that it's going to be a meeting for it. But there was the date and the hour was missing, and the link for.
Okay, let me just add you there.
12th July, right? Next week.
12th of July. Yeah, let me just see. It's 2:25, so 14:06. Yeah. So it would be, so it would be 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, 2 o'clock your time. 2 o'clock Central European time. Which would be 1 o'clock UK time. Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it, with international doing international collaboration, trying to figure out times of everybody's. But yes, so I've resent that. I sent the invitation only to people in working group 2. So if there's anybody on the call who would like to be or at least like to listen in on the conversation, maybe they would they're considering doing a country report themselves, but they're not part of working group 2. Please email me and I'll send you the link as well so that you have some access to it. All right. Well, thank you all very much. The next seminar is the 9th of August. We have Asif Suberi and Jelle Josbrook, who will be giving some who will both be speaking at that event. So 2 exciting speakers for August. I was really surprised. I usually think that August people are they get a little bit tired with the heat and everything. I wasn't sure if we were able to get a seminar there, but they'll both be speaking on that. And I'll try to send out the invitations at least a week early, so that I'm not as rushed as I usually am. So you'll get those on your inboxes by the 2nd of August. So thank you very much, and thank you for. Oh, sorry, Cristina, you have a question.
Oh, yeah, it's still one about organization and the group. It's not related specific to the presentation or anything. It's just we were curious. For example, Mihael and Yang and I, we worked on this project from that we started at the training school, and because we were so excited and enthusiastic and finished the paper and all of that, we were hoping that all of us could get we could get reimbursed by going to Cyprus and one of us presenting this paper, but only me and Yang got the invitation with reimbursement. Is there any possibility that also Mihael could have this? Like, it's just because we worked so hard and we feel like a team and all of that. Even if we talk once a month and all of that, but we were wondering if is there any possibility to have this. Yeah,
it's a great point. Let me take that up with Martina and Clary, but it's certainly something that I would support. I think the three of you have worked as a great team, and I'm really pleased to see the outcome from the training session. But I promise I'll take that straight up with them.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all so much, and thank you so much to Yang and to Ethica for two excellent presentations. Plus, making me look good as a supervisor, which is another positive outcome. Great. Thank you all very much. You all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.